guys, my name is Valerie and I am an English/language arts tutor. I tutor students from the ages of 4 all the way to the ages of 40. Mainly essay writing, reading comprehension, things like that. And lately I've been on the internet a lot, seeing how there's tutorials for everything from curling your eyelashes to cleaning your house. So I decided to make a tutorial of my own, which in this case is going to be something that I'm good at. English, creative writing, essay writing, things like that. So for my first tutorial, I am going to teach you guys how to write a basic essay. The really good thing about this format that I'm going to teach you is that it could be used with all grades. It can be used for a 6th grade essay, it can be used for a high school essay, and it can be used for a college essay, depending on what level of complexity you're at. The example that I'm going to use is very, very simple, and I use it with all my students with all grade levels, and they all say that it's so simple that it always sticks in their head. So later, when they're writing more complex essays on things like comparison between Victorian and Romantic literature or nature versus nurture, things like that, this simple format sticks in their head and they're able to recall exactly what to do, and it helps them. So this is my first tutorial and I don't have a whiteboard in my classroom right now. So in the meantime, I am just going to hold up some notes instead of writing it on the board. So as with all essays, the first thing that you're going to want is to have an introduction. In the introduction, you want to prep the reader for exactly what you're going to be telling them. You want to give them just a little taste of the information. You don't want to go into any specific details. You want to keep it strictly to background info. And the example that I always use with all my students is the comparison of apples and oranges. So if we were writing a paper on apples and oranges, then our intro would want to contain information about fruit and maybe a little bit about apples and oranges, where they come from, who eats them, why we eat them, things like that. So you see that introduction, background info, give the reader a taste, and then you end your intro with a thesis. About 50% of my students always know what a thesis is. I'm referring to the younger ones, and many don't. So the thesis is the main point of your essay. It actually clarifies to the reader the entire point of your essay. And again, if our example is apples and oranges, this is a sample thesis. Okay, though apples are great, oranges are better due to their size, shape, and color. And if you'll see here on my notes, I have size, shape, and color underlined, and I also have letters next to them. The reason for this is because with all theses, you're gonna have 3 main points. Sometimes if you're writing a more basic essay, there will be less points, and often there can be more points, but for the average essay, it's gonna be 3. So with this sample thesis, our main points are size, shape, and color, A, B, and C. The great thing about having a strong thesis with 3 main points is that after you have that, the rest of the essay should flow. You should be able to know exactly what you're doing. You can use the thesis as your map, so to speak. So you're going to go ahead and start with your first body paragraph. Your first body paragraph should go with the first point in your thesis, which in this case is, it's A, and we chose size. So body paragraph number 1, you talk about point A, size. Body paragraph number 2, you would talk about point B, which we had shape, I believe. And then for body paragraph number 3, you will have point C, color. So again, it might sound kind of silly that you're going to be writing a paper about oranges, but this example is so simple that you're bound to remember it when you're writing something more complex. It might seem like I'm going through this pretty fast, but once you have the thesis and you're mapping out your the rest of your essay, it should be going pretty smoothly. Okay, so after you have your 3 paragraphs following your thesis with 3 main points, in this case the oranges, size, shape, and color, you're going to wrap everything up with your conclusion. The 3 main things you want to do in the conclusion is you want to wrap up everything you just said. You also want to restate your thesis, the argument that oranges are better than apples, and you want to consider the so what factor. The so what factor means that you never want the reader to read your paper and say, so what? Why did I read this? You want them to read it and have their minds completely changed. So if I was reading your paper on oranges in a comparison to apples, I would definitely want to know that oranges are better and I would want to go eat an orange, and I would always prefer oranges over apples because your paper changed my mind. So again, with the conclusion, wrap up, tell them everything you just said, but in different wording, of course. Restate your thesis, point to your argument, and so what? You want to leave them with their minds changed. Leave a lasting impression on your reader. Okay, and that is the format for any basic essay. And I used it through all 4 years in college, and I still use it today when I'm writing anything for my master's program or any type of formal paper, I guess. It always works, and this is a simple formula that should have you remembering exactly what to do. Obviously, when it comes to essay writing, there is more to talk about, like word usage, vocabulary, transition sentences, things like that. But this is just to give you guys a ballpark idea of how to map out your essay. So if you have any questions for me or comments, go ahead and leave them, or you can actually email me. My email is teamgarcia12@yahoo.com. So again, that's team, T-E-A-M, Garcia, G-A-R-C-I-A, 12@yahoo.com. And I'd be happy to get back to you because I love reading, I love writing, and I love helping. So thanks, guys.